Hey, hey, hey. Many of you, many of you have asked me the question, what do you think about using my native language, whatever your native language is, while learning English? Do I use it in the classroom? Or if I'm a teacher, do I use the native language while teaching English? Now, I'm just going to give you what I think. It's my thoughts. It's my opinion. And so therefore, it's solely my opinion. I want to share with you how I learned the language of French. So even though I'm a native English speaker, I do know how to speak a foreign language. What I want to do in this video is I want to give you two schools of thought, and then ultimately, you will make the decision. I will share what I believe worked best for me, what my thoughts are, and my opinion. But ultimately, you, the learner, have to make a decision that works best for you. So, let's say your native language is Farsi, Arabic, Chinese, French, whatever it is, and you are using, while learning English, you're using your native language, or if you happen to be a teacher, you're using that particular native language and you're teaching your students. There are some out there that believe that, hey, if you do that, it makes it easier for the learner to learn. So if you're learning, say, the word door, house, incredible, what some learners and some teachers are doing is that they are using their native language and they're translating from their native language into English. Some learners, some teachers find that easier. And if I want to give my perspective, some of you learners, you like that. You're learning English, and most of the time you're learning or going to class, learning English, or being taught by teachers that are teaching English, and the class or their content material is, let's say, 60-70% in your native language, and the rest is in English. That might be an advantage for some. Are there any disadvantages to that? There might be. Perhaps what you're doing consciously or subconsciously is that you are using translation to learn English. You're thinking in your native language first and then translating to English. And that might be your preferred method, something that you like, but as you become more confident, more proficient in your language, that might be a disadvantage to you while learning English. Why? Because instead of thinking or trying to think naturally in English, you are programming your mind to first think in your native language and then in English. But again, that's one particular method. The other particular method that is used is that whether you're learning English or you're teaching English, is to be 100% immersed in that language. That if you're teaching English, or that even if you're studying English, then you are 100% in the English language. Now what are advantages or disadvantages to that? Well, one possible advantage that I could think of, or maybe I could think of more than one advantage. If you are learning English and being immersed in it, even if you are a beginner, then you are programming your brain to think in English. Yes, even if there are words that you don't understand, what you can do is that you can use a dictionary, a thesaurus, and try to look at the overall, whatever the word is, to get a meaning, to get a definition, to see how that particular word is used in a sentence or even a question. So you might not necessarily know, let's use an example. You might not necessarily know what the word belligerent is or intelligent is. Yet, if you begin to look at the meaning of the word, look at its associated synonyms and how those words, whether it's smart or belligerent, is used in a sentence, you're beginning to think in English. And for those teachers that have said to me, well, wait a minute, I know the native language of my student. You do. But here's a question that I want you teachers to think about, and even you students. If you're a teacher and it's an English class, is it necessary for you to know the native language of your student? Let's say, for example, that you have students in your class, or whether it's face-to-face or you're teaching someone online, and you don't know your student's native language. Is it possible that you can still teach them English? Yes, it is. How can you do that? Through your body language, through pictures, through social media. So it can be an advantage for you to know the native language of your students, but yet if your students are coming to an English class, you have the opportunity to teach them in English 100% if you want, by using the aforementioned suggestions. And yes, students, going or learning English to English at first might be difficult, particularly if you are a beginner. But the more you practice is the better that you become at something. So you have these two particular ways of learning English and even teaching English. One method is to do translation, learning English in your native language, and then going from your native language to English. And the other is English only. Well, what do you think? What do I think? Are you asking me what I think? Well, for me, when I learned French, I was not allowed to do any translation in class, and I was a beginner. I was a novice. I was a native to the French language. There was no translation in my class. And when I had a question, I used to ask Mrs. Cohen, well, what does this word mean? I don't understand. Could you give me the word in English? And what did she say? No. Seulement en français. Only in French. And she used stories or paragraphs or pictures to help me use and understand the word. So my method, my approach of teaching is that if you're watching a video, or if I have the opportunity and the honor to teach you, my preferred method is 100% in English. Why? Because you're training your brain to think in English, and the more you do that, particularly when you're learning at the beginner level, it will reinforce good study habits. So that's my thought. Those are my opinions. If you're learning English, I recommend that you learn 100% in English. That's my approach. That is my opinion. In the comments section, I want to know what you think. Because ultimately, you figure out what works best for you. And perhaps what you can do is that you can experiment. In the beginning, for example, if you're just learning English, sure, help yourself. Use your native language as little as possible. And then as you become more comfortable, migrate to English. This is Teacher Will. This is the place where you and we learn together. One of my very first videos outside. Click on that like button, press and click on that subscribe and notification so that when I drop a video, you're made aware of it. See ya!